Hey everyone, today I want to take a look at Brave, the video game, and its Deadzones. So to get straight into it, the camera uses a little over a 40%, mostly circular dead zone. I'd call this kind of a bloated dead zone just because it moves to these points in the corners. So this is a little larger than the dead zone size at the cardinal points. There's a lot of restricted diagonal movement. As you can see, I can move within these blue regions and move perfectly left and perfectly up in these cases. And it isn't until you break out into these green regions where you start seeing diagonal movement occur, and pretty dramatically at that. So as you can see, you got forward and then a very obvious angle and a slightly less obvious angle. Based on these kind of angles, it almost seems like once you break into this green region, the angles are accurate. So this might be the exact angle that you're actually pointing at being applied in your aiming direction. It might sound unintuitive, but this is actually not ideal, because while it is ideal when you're in these diagonal regions, you actually lose you actually lose these angles because of this restricted diagonal movement. So the angles in between here and here are just lost, and if you're making smaller movements between here and here, that's lost. Of course, because of how this works, subtle movements don't make any difference between large movements, so we can just assume the edge cases. So we're just really focusing on here, but I'll be back to that in just a second. Movement uses the exact same dead zone, simply smaller, but the same things apply here. So movement based on that dead zone, and restricted diagonal movement, you can see makes these the same dramatic changes once you break into that region. The main reason I wanted to look at this game or demonstrate this is because this is a twin stick shooter, and in my experience, the vast majority of twin stick shooters use circular dead zones with full diagonal movement. I haven't demonstrated any on my channel. I'll probably add a few in a bit as a comparison, but the reason why most of those games use circular dead zones with full diagonal movement is probably because it's easier to see the issues with the cursor. So for example, if you're sliding your stick slowly, you can see that there's nice smooth diagonal movement, and then you see it locks there and then stays there and then starts moving. Compared with normal movement, as well as third person and first person camera movements, it's easier to miss when there's restricted diagonal movement compared to this. So for twin stick shooters, developers probably see the issues more and address them, but that hasn't happened here. So that's a little interesting that it's been left like that. Of course, in this game, this really doesn't matter. It's unfortunate, but there's a ton of auto aim in this game. So let's just say there were some enemies coming at that flower, but I'm pointing in this direction. It would actually correct almost that far. I don't know the exact range, but it's really not an issue. But it is something that is not ideal, especially for this type of game. But generally, circular dead zones are the better type of dead zone. But I'll try to, in the future, check out a few other twin stick shooters to demonstrate how they're set up and the full diagonal movement they use, just so that this isn't the only example I have. But otherwise, thanks for watching, and have a good rest of your day.